is the Weevils.
Do you see those two Weevils, Lord? Adam? Which would you choose?
Neither. There's not a scrap of difference between them. They're the same species of Curculia.
If you had to choose, if you were forced to make a choice, if there was no other response,
Push me. I would choose the right-hand weevil. It has significant advantage in both length and breadth.
There, I have you. Oh, completely dish. Do you not know that in the service, I must always choose the lesser of two Weevils?
Alright, so just a little joke. That's the current political climate. It's always the lesser of two evils in many cases, but I thought that was real funny how they, even in the military, it's the lesser of two evils. So last week we went over, or finished up the analysis of the scoring sheet and turned in the results for what topics we're going to be going over. So this week we'll be going over the first topic. I actually have two topics that tie that for first. VA privatization and Religious Freedom Act. So I flipped a coin, and this week we're going over the Religious Freedom Act. And the basic concept here of the question is, should a business be able to deny service to a customer if the request conflicts with the owner's religious beliefs? Now, looking into this, I decided to look a little bit into the history of previous, court rulings or anything else like that that involve the religious freedom and whether or not a business or a church can do things based on their religious beliefs. And what I found is there's quite a few different things out there, so I picked out a few different ones. We do actually have a Religious Freedom Act right now that was passed in 1993, and it was originally intended to protect Native American jobs. Native Americans used the drug peyote in some of their religious ceremonies, and they were being fired because they were using drugs. So the original Religious Freedom Act was passed in order to protect them so they could practice their religious freedoms using the peyote and not lose their jobs. Since then, 20 states have passed similar laws. 12 states currently have legislation introduced to be voted on this year.
I'm so stupid. What is
Peyote,
what is
it's
it?
essentially like marijuana.
Oh, okay.
It's very similar to marijuana, if not the same. I didn't look into the drugs themselves that much.
Peyote is a hallucinogen.
Yes. Yeah. So they would use it quite often for their spirit journeys or their spirit quests. So that kind of thing. And then there have been several court cases. I didn't put them up on the screen, but I got some excerpts here that I'll read to you. Here's this one. So there's one. There was a church. I'm not seeing right. But there was a church that wanted to tear down their building and build a new church. The building actually fell under as a historical landmark. So the act itself has two conditions that must be met for the government to interfere. One of those conditions being that if the thing the church wants to do is going to greatly hurt government operation, and the other is that it would hurt just the United States in general. So this particular case, the government did not want to let the church the church did not want to let the church body tear down the physical church because it was a historic building. So the church members actually sued the government, citing the religious act, and also citing the fact that it did not meet those conditions. And so the court ruled in the church's favor, allowing them to tear the church down so they could build a new building. And there are many other examples where I think I counted half a dozen times where churches have gone into the court case with the government and said, look, what you're trying to prevent us from doing does not meet your conditions, therefore we have the right of way. That's essentially how it boils down to. And in 90% of those cases, the church won the case because, in fact, it did not meet the government did not have its conditions met to prevent the church from doing what they wanted to do. Now, in recent history, we have a really clear, or a good example of a private business denying service to somebody. And I'll have the name here in a little bit. But everybody remember the cake baker?
Yeah.
Refused to make a cake for the gay wedding. Just let's get a little lighthearted a little bit. No, this one's looking slow.
Very good, very good. You know something? Lots of for you. Come back, 1 year. Next.
So, denial of service. We've all seen the businesses that have no shirt, no shoes, no service. And there are many places that I worked at a place that just threw a guy out because he started, throwing a fit about prices. Like, all right, we're going to deny service to you. So that's something, it's a very real thing that happens. Now, in the particular case of the cake, the couple that was wanting to get the cake said that it's discrimination, and the base definition of discrimination is to deny service or to do something to somebody based on who they are or what they are. The Civil Rights Act dictates that a business cannot deny service to people based on race, color, religion, or national origin. However, the Act does not address whether business owners have the right to refuse service based on their own religious beliefs. Therefore, states have been able to adopt religious freedom laws that allow businesses to do so. These laws have had an impact on customers belonging to minority groups. This whole thing, whether or not a business can be allowed to do something based on the owner's religious beliefs, does come down to, in the end, because who they're going to deny service to is probably going to be in some kind of group that is covered underneath race, color, religion, or national origin. And nowadays, they're wanting to add in a lot of other things to that. And by the strictest definition of discrimination, even if we take out the race, color, religion, national origin, all that, discrimination against somebody because of who or what they are, the truth is, if this business owner denied service to them because they were a gay couple, because of what they are. And so that is discrimination. Now, his reasoning for that, let me get to that page here. I apologize. So Jack Phillips was the cake decorator. And his reasoning for denying service was because in his religion, Christianity, gay relationships is a sin. And so his logical process to that was, if I bake the cake for this gay wedding, I'm then showing support for this gay wedding. And that is against my religious beliefs. And of course, in this particular case, the legal reasoning is that he should not be compelled to act against his own religious beliefs. So we have the two sides here. It's discrimination on one side, and it's my religious belief. You cannot compel me to act against it on the other. So
that's a good point. Somebody that left the door.
That's right.
Now he went on further to say that if it was just making cakes, then they could go. The gay couple could go to any other cake store and get a cake. Their lawyer stated that just tell them to go to another store would be like telling in 1966 to tell to African American customers to go eat in another restaurant. Now we've all seen discrimination in some form or another. I dare say that we've all seen discrimination in multiple forms in our lifetime. I've seen racism. I've seen homophobia. I've seen people that are discriminated against Christians. Now the scary part is the first two, the racism and the homophobia. I've seen Christians, or people that profess to be Christians, do that more than I've seen non-Christian people do that. So discrimination and racism, it is there. And I feel like this lawyer, he made a good point. Just tell them, hey, go somewhere else. Now, while if it was me and I get told, well, we're not going to do this for you because of whatever, I probably would just go somewhere else. I wouldn't really care. But because they are in their particular situation, they are a minority group by the modern definition, they decided this is a discrimination, this is a breaking of the law. But the question still remains, I'm terrible with names.
Josh, what's his
Jack Phillips.
Yep.
Can Jack Phillips still deny service because he's a private business and his religious beliefs? So now's the point where I decided, let's go look and see what the Bible has to say about all this. And we'll start out in Genesis 2:24. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. So this is Adam speaking, if I remember correctly here, and he's just been given Eve, made from his own flesh, from the rib of his own body. So it's very easy to look at this and just say, you know what? The Bible says it's wrong. It supports one kind of marriage. If it's not man and wife getting married, then you can't do anything about it. We're not going to support that. We're not going to make a cake for it. Nothing. I could also say, be kind to others, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Matthew 7:14. Yeah, 7:14. I clicked on the wrong page. So in this particular case, I actually want to read a little bit more than just Matthew 7:14. I want to read a little bit around. I give some more context to it. 1-14. There we go. I knew I had it up there somewhere. Judge not that ye be not judged. For with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye mete, it shall be measured to you again. And why beholdest thou the mote that is in thy brother's eye, but considereth not the beam that is in thy own eye? Or how wilt thou say to thy brother, let me pull out the mote in thine eye, and behold, a beam is in thine own eye? Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote of thy brother's eye. Give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast ye your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn again and rend you. Ask and it shall be given to you, seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened unto you. For every one that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you whom if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? If he ask a fish, will he be given a serpent? If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Therefore, all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do you even so to them, for this is the law and the prophets. Enter ye in that strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. Because strait is the gate, and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few be there that find it. So the particular verse here, 7:12. Therefore all things whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do you even so to them. For this is the law and the prophets. What do you think that means?
Treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah. So would you want somebody to deny service to you because you're a Christian? So should we deny service to someone else because they're not Christian? Or because they're gay? Or because they're, pick your minority group?
Or a different ethnic group, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, no, I would not go where I was saying that, like Hispanics,
Yeah.
African Americans, and
Now,
Jews.
we have no shortage of minority groups that generally get discriminated against that we can pick from. That, in my opinion, now on the overall topic, I'm undecided. But in this position, if I were to look at just this passage, I would say this is telling me, do it, make that cake. If they're wanting to come in and get a cake, make it, because I would not want them to discriminate against me, so I shouldn't discriminate against them.
Also, too, if they're not with God, it's not our job to condemn them.
Yeah.
When they die and they talk to Jesus, it's his job.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
by doing all that discrimination, you're trying to subvert his job. That's his job, it's not our job.
Yeah.
Our job is maybe to protect ourselves from bad people. You know, there's judgment in another verse. But that whole verse, I argue this all the time. Just because you're not with us doesn't mean we should be against you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of people don't understand that.
Well, once you sell something to somebody, what they do with it's their business anyway.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah. Now, in this particular case, there was some kind of decoration on the cake that was very much like, this is a gay wedding cake, which is why the cake baker was like, no. So another aspect of this coming from Bible is the cake baker, Jack. See if I can remember. Another one of his points was this is a talent that God gave him, and he should use that for good and not for evil. And so, because being gay, we saw that there in Genesis, and I did miss one in Matthew 19, 1-8, where Jesus actually he quotes Genesis as well. It's essentially the same phrasing. I think that definitively defines man and woman, not woman and woman, not man and man, man and woman. So very clearly the Bible is stating this is how relationships should be. So his idea, Jack was like, the Bible says this is wrong, and therefore if I use my talents to support something that is wrong, I'm not doing anything for God anymore. Now I can get a little bit nitpicky there. If Jack was here, I'd ask him, do you make cakes for birthdays that have no religious attachment to them whatsoever? And if the answer is yes, well, you're not doing anything for God by making those cakes. So how often do we use the talents we have? Now, I have, it's necessary, I have computer talents. And the one thing that I do with my talents that I hope and pray glorifies God is here at the church. I have the privilege of doing the YouTube stream, the slideshows. I know sometimes I kind of mess up. And then,
Blame it on the computer.
Yeah, I'll blame it on the computer. It didn't pay attention to
The
me.
machine did not work.
But then my everyday job and everything else I do with the computer 9 times out of 10, I'm playing games, or I'm building websites for pool companies or surgical companies and such. None of which have anything to do with worshiping God. So am I wrong for doing that? Would I be wrong if my boss told me, hey, we're going to build a website for a porn company? And then I'm the website builder in the entire company. Should I quit my job? Because, I might quit my job because I don't necessarily want to do that. But if that was just my job and there was no other way for me to make money to support my family, would I be wrong for doing that?
Would not, I mean, that's just one example. Wouldn't a coin company be breaking the law?
Well, the God's law.
How porn, right?
Yeah.
Depends on what kind, yeah.
It depends on the
You know what I'm
context.
saying? No, you used a good example.
Yeah.
That's enough.
So, but that, and in some cases, at least for me, if I put myself into that position of I have this particular talent that can be used for good or evil and neutral, even. And what if I were to be in that position that the cake baker was in? Now some people may say he's stronger in his faith than I am because he's refusing to do anything that supports. And others would say I'm stronger in my faith because I know my limitation where I can do this and it's not going to tempt me to do evil. It muddies the water a little bit, doesn't it? Which way is right or wrong?
Did the cake baker win, or did the?
I believe they did
Yeah,
side on his
ultimately he did.
favor.
He
Yeah.
did.
Now the final verse I have is John 17:16, and this one is now I've always remembered it. And the way I went and looked for it was be in the world and not of the world. 17, 16. And so this is Jesus speaking. I'll read the verse before and after as well to give a little bit extra context. I pray not that thou shouldest take them out of the world, but thou shouldest keep them from evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. So he's speaking, I do believe he's speaking about his disciples here, is that correct? Yeah. So he's praying to God to keep his disciples from evil, because they are not of the world, but they are in the world. They're having to be in this world to witness to other people and live in it and try to do their best to be Christ-like. And so they are. Then you have the opposite side of that. You do have people that are of the world. Some people that just they take part in every thing the world has to offer. So as Christians, our goal should be to be in the world, be that witness, but not take part in everything. But that raises another question: is what do we do? What do we do about this case? Do we deny service because it's against our religion? Does that make us part of the world because we're now partaking in it? And there's a huge thing about perception. What do people perceive? And movie theaters, that's a really good example. I go to the movie theaters on occasion, not so much lately because the child takes all my money away. But I used to go to the movies a lot. And there were people who said, well, you shouldn't go to the movies because there might be an R-rated movie playing, and it doesn't matter if you're going to PG-13. Somebody knows you, sees you go in there, they think you're going to that R-rated movie, and you should be watching R-rated movies. Well, what are they doing at the theater? That'd be my question. What are they doing at the theater to watch me? But that comes back to the mote in thine own eye, or the beam in thine own eye when you try and take out the mote in your brother's eye. Who are we to judge what our brothers and sisters are doing? Who are we to assume? Why do we assume that they're doing something wrong? I mean, anybody that knows me and you see me at the theater, all you got to do is look at the movies they're showing, and I guarantee you, you're going to know which one I'm going to see. if you know it, I'm Star Wars, Star Trek, sci-fi, anything like that. And you look at and there's 100 porn movies, but there's one Star Trek movie. Let's see Star Trek. I mean, come on. So anybody that would assume that I'm going to see something else, they are assuming. Now, I won't say the whole phrase, but what does assuming do?
Yeah.
And we all know what that phrase, and it's true. So, in my, like I said before, my overall opinion about this, whether or not a business should be allowed to or should not be allowed to deny service, I'm not sure. I really am not sure. I can find support for both sides in the Bible. An article I found also found both sides. But they also go to the point of explaining that the Bible, God, will not contradict himself. And so they fall on the side of, yes, we can deny service. We can decide that we're not going to give service to a gay couple because one spot in the Bible says it is wrong. And even though we're also being told to be good to everybody, do unto them as we'd have to do unto us, we still should not do this because the Bible doesn't contradict itself. So the question there I have is being kind to others really a contradiction? Is that really supporting what they're doing? Does it really? We've seen what I think is a great disgrace to the Christian community. We've seen Christians, self-proclaimed Christians, out protesting the gay pride parades with signs that say God hates F-word. No, he doesn't. Not one bit. He loves every person. He hates the sin. But he doesn't hate the person. So, yes, I'm a little more inclined to, you know what? If they want something, if they want a cake, go ahead. It's just a cake. You're not going out there and trying to support or get more people to have the gay marriage. I'm not going out there and looking for the jobs that's going to have me build a porn website. I'm not. But if that's what my boss says to do, and I need to continue to make money for the family, then, you know, that's what I have to do. And I'm like I say, I'm not sure. There's support for both sides. So that's why I leave the question up to you. This is the part where I put it on you to make your own decision. This is the part where I'm not going to choose sides for you.
Well, the thing is, everything's not black or white.
Right?
There's a gray area for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this is not cut and dried.
No, it's not. It's very. Every time I went deeper into this and found, there's the article I'm particularly referencing is from the ChristianPost.com, and they're speaking specifically about the wedding cake that Jack refused to make. I got it.
That's twice in a row.
Yeah. But every time I went further into another article or a different article, and honestly, looking at the laws that we have here in America about discrimination and the Civil Rights Act, it's like, in some cases, not necessarily what the Bible's saying, but what some of these Christians, the way they're interpreting and how they say we should act about things, the laws that we have on the books are more loving than these Christians are. Because the laws on the books, you know, we can't discriminate. We can't decide that, hey, you're this, so I'm not going to give you any service. That's all about, you know, just let people be their people, and they pay for their own